I married Joan. What a girl, what a world, what a life. Oh, I married Joan. What a mind, love is blind, what a wife. Giddy and gay, all day she keeps my heart laughing. Never know where her brain has flown. To each his own, can't deny that's why I married Joan. I married Joan.
I concur, Judge Cushing.
Especially after we secure the letter of confession.
Of course, we'll know better when we see it. Don't you think so, Mrs. Cushing?
Oh, yes, it is similar to State versus James, Wisconsin 47.
Yes, I remember that. Then there was State versus Chandler, Alabama 36.
I was considering State versus Hopkins, Maryland 28.
What about Army versus Notre Dame, Polo Grounds 42? Now, there was a game.
Joan, please, please, dear. Unlike Mrs. Cushing, Joan knows next to nothing about legal matters.
Well, Brad, from what you've told me about your wife's cooking, she doesn't have to know anything about legal matters. Now, Alice's help is indispensable, but her cooking is indigestible.
I guess some women just naturally go with pots and pans.
And some women have pans that just naturally go to pot.
Judge, what do you consider the most important aspects of this case?
Well, for one thing, there's the ipso facto element.
And the possibility that there was a failure to establish a prima facie case.
Would anyone like some coffee?
Well, I suggest you make notes of that, Miss Cushing.
I've attended to it already.
Would anyone like some tea?
But there's also the question of the statute of limitations.
Well, that's true. We just have to determine the date of expiration.
Milk?
And the original appeal was based on that contingency.
Water?
The lower court failed to take that into consideration.
Gee, Mrs. Cushing, I'd give anything in the world if I could help my husband the way you help yours.
Well, dear, even before I was married, I was a secretary.
Well, I was a secretary before I was married.
I mean, I was a legal secretary.
What was I, illegal?
Don't brood about it, Joan. As you said, some women appeal to a man's brains, others to his stomach. You set your sights a little lower than I did.
Well, I'd like to take a shot at both. You know, maybe if I took a refresher course.
Darling, you'd be wasting your time. You see, being a good secretary requires more than a mere knowledge of typewriting and shorthand. It demands ingenuity, alertness, efficiency, and memory. In other words, you must have a good mind.
What do you mean I haven't got a good mind? Why, I've got a good mind, too. And as far as a good memory is concerned, I'll show her. Why, I'll be a better secretary than she is, or my name isn't Joan, Stevens. Who says I haven't got a good memory?
That's a splendid application, Mrs. Stevens. Now, with your background, I'm sure that our 6-week secretarial course will be adequate. Now, if you'll just sign this registration card.
$200?
That's our regular tuition fee.
Oh, I haven't got that much money.
Oh, come, Mrs. Stevens. Surely $200 isn't a large sum for the wife of a prominent judge.
You don't understand. He doesn't know anything about this. I want to surprise him.
That does alter the situation. Now, let me see. Possibly you could use our student assistance plan.
Of course I could. What's the plan?
To defray the expenses of tuition, we find odd jobs for some of our students.
I'll do them. I don't care how odd they are. I mean the jobs, not the students.
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Peabody, you don't know what this course means to me.
Very well then, Mrs. Stevens. Your classes will begin tomorrow between 1 and 4 p.m. Report to Miss Denton's class. In the meantime, we'll find some suitable spare time work for you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Peabody.
Yes.
If my husband thinks my short ribs are good, wait till he sees my short hand. School days, dear old golden rule days. Typing and shorthand and arithmetic, taught to the tune of a...
Joan! Hi!
Oh, Mabel. You just caught me, and I'm just on my way to business school.
Oh, you're starting the course already?
Yeah, first class is 1 o'clock, and am I excited?
What does Brad say to that?
Oh, he doesn't know about it yet. I'm going to surprise him after the course is finished.
Joni, I'm home.
In the kitchen, lover. Well, I wonder what he's doing at home this time of the day.
Hello, Joni. Hello, Mabel.
Hi, Brad.
Look what I've got. A duck!
Brad, you said the secret word.
No. A hunter friend gave it to Judge Cushing, and he gave it to me to give to you to cook. He said it already been killed once, and he didn't want his wife to murder it again.
Well, that was humane of him.
Oh, Joni. So I asked them here for dinner tonight.
You did?
Yes, we have to work on the opinion, and when the judge heard that you're preparing a duck, he suggested you make it Bombay duck.
Bombay duck?
Oh, there's nothing to it, Joan. I've seen a recipe in one of your cookbooks for Bombay duck with walnut stuffing. I'll find it for you.
You know, it makes me hungry just to think about it.
Well, with me, it's different. Just thinking about it makes me lose my appetite. Brad, couldn't I just make him duck soup? You know, dunk him up and feed down.
Oh, honey, don't be silly. Not after the way Lionel's complimented you on your cooking.
Well, it must take an awful lot of preparation for Bombay duck.
Well, so what? You've got all afternoon, and you're always complaining about not having enough to do.
Well, that's right, I am. I mean, I was, but...
Yes, well, dear, I've got to get back. Just came home for recess, you know. Goodbye, Mabel.
So long, Brad.
Oh, by the way, I told Lionel an early dinner, 6 o'clock. We've got a lot of work to do, dear.
Oh, why did he have to shoot you? Why couldn't he have shot spaghetti and meatballs?
I found the recipe, Joan. It's a little complicated, but it sounds delicious.
Celery, raisins, walnuts. Gosh, Mabel, I don't know how I'm going to get all these things done. I have to be in school between 1 and 4, and Brad just said he wants dinner promptly at 6 o'clock, and I have to shop for all those ingredients.
Gee, I wish I could stay and help you, but I promised Charlie I'd go see my mother-in-law. Believe me, I'd rather stay here with the duck. Why can't you start your course tomorrow?
Oh, I can't do that. You don't know the kind of a deal I had to make with this Mr. Peabody to get the course in the first place. I don't dare miss my first day in school.
Well, how are you going to do both?
Well, I don't know. But it looks like the Peabody Business College has got an extra student today. Look. Bread. Walnut. Eggs.
Good afternoon, ladies. Now, suppose we begin. Now, just to make our fingers limber, let's start with a little typing exercise. Everybody type as I dictate. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy duck. Duck?
That's dog.
Everybody continue typing.
Add 2 fresh eggs.
Mrs. Stevens, I said type. Mrs. Stevens. Time's up, girls. Everybody. We'll continue tomorrow. Class is dismissed.
Mrs. Stevens, how did your first day at Peabody Business College go?
Oh, just fine, Mr. Peabody.
Good, good. And here's something else that ought to please you. I've got a job for you.
Oh?
Now, what you have to do is type these addresses on these 4,000 envelopes, fold these circulars, slip them in the envelopes, seal the envelopes, ready for mailing.
Oh. Well, that ought to be easy enough. I'll work on them every spare minute that I get. I ought to have them finished in about a week or 10 days.
Oh, no, that won't do at all. They've got to be completed by tonight.
Tonight?
That's right. Must be in the mail before midnight. Remember, Mrs. Stevens, you said you'd work for your tuition, and you owe us $200.
Well, I'll get them finished somehow.
Well, that's the spirit, Mrs. Stevens.
Oh, Mr. Peabody, I forgot my purse in my desk. Would you get it for me, please?
Yes, of course. Now, if you can finish your first job in time, it'll be quite a feather in your cap.
Joni, I'm short one salad fork.
In there, dear.
Oh, thank you. The Cushing should be here any minute. How's everything going?
Oh, just fine, fine.
Well, anything I can do to help?
No, everything's under control.
Oh, boy, that duck smells great, and that dressing must be out of this world. Was it tough to make?
No, dear, it was a cinch. Now you go and put that salad fork back on the table, dear, and stay out of the kitchen.
Cushings are here.
Coming, dear.
How do you do, Mrs. Stevens?
How do you do? How about something to nibble on before dinner?
Yes, they look very delicious. Brad, I'm very anxious to get down to work. With this signed letter of confession, the legal opinion we write may make appellate court history.
Well, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, Judge.
Marc?
Oh, no, I don't want to kill my appetite for that Bombay duck of yours, Mrs. Stevens.
Yes, no.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you know, Joan added something special. It's Bombay duck with walnut dressing.
Oh, Alice, you simply must get that recipe.
Oh, all right, Lionel. I'll go in the kitchen with Joan and copy it.
Oh, no, you don't have to do that. I'll bring it right out. You just stay here and discuss the case with the men. Would you mind serving this for me? Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes.
Oh, they're delicious. was great, but what's holding up that duck? We're starving.
Coming, dear.
I know it's going to be wonderful.
Well, here it is, Bombay duck with a detour through our kitchen.
Say, that looks wonderful.
Joni, you've outdone yourself.
I must say it looks good.
Say, let's eat. We've got a lot of work to do after dinner.
Is it that late? Oh, it'll be midnight before we know it. You carve, dear. I'll be right back.
Joe, going?
Got the salt.
The salt. Here's the salt. It's Joan, we're waiting for you.
All right, dear.
Well, worth waiting for.
Joni, did you get the salt?
The salt? Oh, yes, here it is. Oh, he's so helpless. I don't know what he'd do without me.
Mrs. Stevens, you've achieved a perfect balance of spices in your walnut dressing. You must have spent a lot of time on this duck.
And believe me, I never worked so hard in a kitchen in my life. My, what pretty cufflinks. I'll be right back.
Joni, what now?
I forgot the pepper.
The pepper? Oh, no. Pepper.
I'll get the dessert.
I think we better get to work. I'll have those
What
notes-
kind of dessert?
Banana cream pie.
Alice, are you sure you got that recipe for Bombay duck from Mrs. Stevens?
Oh, yes, Lionel. You saw me write it down.
3,999. 4,000. Ooh.
Topper. Ah, dessert, Joni. It's about time.
Mrs. Stevens, this is the first time you haven't come rushing out of the kitchen.
Well, I thought I might as well relax. It's the end of the meal, you know.
Well, we'd better stop relaxing and get on with that opinion.
Oh, Judge Stevens, you're so right. We have a lot to do.
Oh, all right. But it's a crime to let anything interfere with this wonderful pie. Let's have a look at that confession.
Well, I don't have it. You must have taken it, Judge Stevens.
Well, I did. I certainly don't remember. But that's funny. It isn't here.
Well, it must be here.
Oh, of course it is, Lionel. We'll find it in a moment.
Well, it must be here. I saw it.
No, you'll find it. It's just a matter of remembering where you last saw it.
Well, we must find it. The whole opinion is based on that confession. Who saw it last?
Well, I don't... Wait a minute. I remember. I saw it. Over there on that desk.
Are you sure?
Well, of course I'm sure. It was right there where Joni put the hors d'oeuvre plate. I remember seeing it just before Joni took the tray out.
Well,
Joni, help us find the paper.
Yes, dear, I'll look in the kitchen. Maybe when somebody opened the door, it blew into an envelope. I mean, in the kitchen.
Yeah, well, I just...
Hello? Oh, hello, Mabel. Yeah, the Bombay duck turned out fine. Listen, Mabel, I can't talk to you now. No, I got a very important legal paper sealed in an envelope by mistake, and the only trouble is I don't know which one of the 4,000 envelopes that it's in. Yeah, the gravy was good, yeah. It would be in the very last one. It's not in there either. Oh, no. All this work for nothing.
we've got to find it. Alice, are you
Now, Lionel, don't start with me. You know how careful I am. I couldn't have lost it.
Yes, I know.
Say, I wonder if it couldn't have blown outside.
Well, I don't see
Well,
how,
it
but
could
we
if it
can't
had a
afford to
crack.
overlook anything.
No?
We look outside and see what happened to it.
Hello, information. Will you give me the number of the Peabody Business College, please?
Cleaner's A receipt, a letter from my mother.
Did you look in your purse?
Yes, all I have is the recipe that I copied from you.
Let me see that recipe.
Well, it's the one you gave me for the Bombay duck.
Well, let me see it.
All right. Well, I know it's right, just like in the book. I don't make mistakes.
The confession. You wrote the recipe on the back of the confession.
Oh, dear.
And you had it all the time.
Oh, Mrs. Stevens, Joan, I wish you wouldn't tell my husband where we found this.
You don't want him to get angry with you.
Oh, that's right. It would shake his confidence in me, and if he ever knew that I've done such a stupid thing.
Oh, Mrs. Cushing, if you only knew all the trouble that you put me to.
Oh, please, please, Joan, will you promise not to tell my husband?
On one condition.
Oh, just name it. I'll do anything.
Well, here's what I have in mind for you.
Say, where's Mrs. Cushing?
That's right. I haven't seen my wife since you found the confession.
Oh, well, don't worry about her. She's busy working in the kitchen.
Oh, you've given her a new recipe.
Well, yeah, she might say it's a new type of stuffing.
Let's get on with it, shall we, Joni? While the letter of the law has not changed, the spirit of the law down...
How do you spell while?
W-H-I-L-E. While the spirit of the law has changed...
E-I?
L-E-I-L-E. While the spirit of the law...
W-H-I-L-E.
W-H-I-L-E. While the spirit of the law has changed down
What
to...
came after while?
The.
The, I know.
Yeah? The letter of
That's why I married Joan.
Seen in tonight's cast were Geraldine Carr, Emlyn Davies, Paul Keast, Jacques George, and Martha Wentworth.